Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, March the 6th, 2022. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And we made it through another week. It's getting more treacherous all the time for the planet, for everyone here. And my prayers are going out to people who are being affected by the war that's going on in Ukraine and everywhere else. I mean, we're all being affected by it, but I mean especially the ones who are living there. And my prayers go out to all of them especially. And I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. We're going to look at methane, what happened during this week, sea ice for the Arctic and the Antarctic. We're going to look at Climate Reanalyzer and earthquakes. So, and if you like updates during the week, I'd invite you to come over to my Subscribed Star channel where I usually post updates usually every day. I might miss a day here and there, but I do a lot of updates over there, and then they end up getting archived on my webpage. And all the links are in the description box below. So let's start out with the NOAA methane data. This is for the 477/469 millibar reading for yesterday the 5th, Met-Op-B, which is the Met-Op-1 satellite, and the morning reading, and they've retired the Met-Op-2 satellite information, so we only have the one satellite. The mean or average is 1922 parts per billion, so this is that's a higher reading there than we've seen. And the high reading was 2420. In the afternoon, the mean was 1920, and the high reading was 2415. Look at how far south this pink is coming. We've got pink just off the west coast of Australia here. The pink is this high range. It's anywhere between 2,000 parts per billion and whatever is the highest number here in the range, in this case 2415. Here's the spreadsheet that we're working off of. So for the 5th, that averages out to be 1921 parts per billion. That gives us an increase for this week of 0.5 parts per billion. So we're just above the 1920. We're at 1921 now, right there. We also had on the 1st, this was our anniversary, third anniversary, I think, yeah, for when I started tracking the data, March the 1st, 2019. And it ended up to be 1920 that day. And here, so the first year we went up 15 parts per billion. The second year we went up 10 parts per billion. And the third year we went up 25.5 parts per billion. And total from March the 1st of 2019 to March the 1st of 2022, we've gone up 50.5 20.5 parts per billion, and it's out of control. We're just on the runaway now, and between these lines it's 20 parts per billion. So 50 would be two of these, or two sections, and then half of the next one, and that's how much we've gone up in 3 years. And so it's anyway, so we're 21 right now. We're 21.5 parts per billion higher than we were a year ago, and we're 51.5 parts per billion higher than when we started out on March the 1st of 2019. And that reading was 1869.5 here. So you can see we're just on the runaway now. So here I'll show you what's happened this week. Here we were in our show last Sunday with the Saturday data. For the 26th, we were at 1920.5 parts per billion, and that was a sharp increase in one day of 3 parts per billion. That gave us a weekly increase of 3.5 that week. And then on Sunday, it went down 2. On Monday, it went up 1. On Tuesday, it went up half a part per billion. On Wednesday, it went down 1. On Thursday, it went up 1.5. On Friday, it was a sharp decrease, went down 3 parts per billion. But then on Saturday, another sharp increase, jumped back up 3.5 parts per billion in one day, giving us an overall increase of 0.5 parts per billion for this week. So I mentioned this quite frequently, that we are in no man's land. These readings, you can see this is the highest it's been for this time of year on all of our readings, and so we're setting records every single day, and we're really in no man's land. We don't know how all of this is going to pan out, except that we know it's heating up the atmosphere. It's holding the heat in more and more with the methane rise like that, and there will be many dire consequences as a result, and we're seeing them already, and I've talked about it. Sam Carana writes about it a lot, and hit arctic-news.blogspot.com writes about all of the dire effects of the rising methane and all the other stuff. So, if we make it through this year, I'll be amazed with everything that's going on. I will be amazed if we make it through this year. So, in the meantime, I'll still be here reporting as long as I can, as long as my health holds up and the infrastructure holds up and I have internet and can report. So that's my mission. So okay, now we're on CAMS Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services. They're out of the EU. And this notice, I went over this last time. They're going to have a service disruption for about 6 hours on March 23rd while they're moving some things around. So now we're on Saturday the 5th, Arctic view and surface level. Here's our color ledger at the bottom. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period runs Sunday through Wednesday. So we're seeing the Scandinavian area kind of popping back to life. Also in parts of Russia, it's coming back heavier. Combs and mollets, usually it's billowing around here. It's lightening up a little bit. Of note, here we're seeing releases out of this East Siberian Sea. See the red popping up. I'm assuming that that's blowouts from the seafloor, methane blowouts. Or releases, you know, I don't know how big it is, but it's coming up from the seafloor or through the water there. And there's ice there. The sun is up, and so it's coming up through the ice. And also we can see red out here as it comes out towards the North Pole. And let's see, Koktovik is right there, Alaska with high readings. We have a lot of greens as background colors. And we'll go to the North Pole view. So here, looking in Europe, we've got some high readings setting up here in Germany and here in France, also in the UK. Look at this wave that moves out into the Atlantic and moves around. Persian Gulf is here, that's filled up, and see how it's spilling over into Saudi Arabia. Here's India, that's filling up and spilling over here in the Bengal Bay and also here in the Arabian Sea. Here's China, and look in the forecast period how it just really fills out all the way in southern Asia. And then see the arms flinging out, the methane just flinging out. Here comes, see the burst flinging out across the Pacific. And then here in North America, from Texas over, we have heavy methane readings. See the dark. Look at this line. That's a release coming down from North Dakota. Watch this as it goes through again. Watch this as it slings out. See, here it comes. See that? That's a heavy release. Here's California. And again, see the wave moving out or flinging out from the landmass across the Atlantic Ocean. These are all signs of very high methane. Let's go to the Antarctic. Now the sun is going down. I mean, the sun is still up. We still have light down here, but the sun is at a much lower angle as it's sinking towards the horizon. But we're seeing see the methane here. This is at the Larsen B ice shelf. Lots of methane coming up there. Let's see. Also here at the Brunt ice shelf, and here's the Amory ice shelf. Those three places seem to be a constant, and we're able to see that because it's in the aqua, which is a higher reading than the main background color of the light blue. That light blue is about 1820 parts per billion. The aqua is about 1840 or 1860, what we're seeing. And we have just a little bit of the dark blue or the navy starting out on Saturday, and then as it moves through the forecast period, it gets overtaken by the higher reading. So that's a sign of in the forecast with methane on the rise too. And you know, it won't just go up steadily every single day. I call it a stair-stepping, where it goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. But the general trend we're seeing, well, it's on the rise now, definitely. We are on the rise. Now we'll look at the global view. And the problem is that during the cooling periods in the winter time, when it gets to its lowest point for the season, it's still a lot higher than where it started out for the season. So we always end up higher than where we started, and so it just keeps accumulating, as we saw on the chart. And this white spot is still coming up here in China. This is near Beijing. You can see it pops up intermittently where my pointer is. See there? See there? And that means it's above the top end of 10,000 parts per billion. We don't know how high. It's just in the white there. That's kind of a constant. So what we'll see as we head into spring and summer, these background colors will be getting shifting and changing and moving into higher readings, different shades of aqua reflecting the higher readings. And also, I don't know how high the background color is going to go here in the northern hemisphere. Remember, this is a new data set that they brought on board around the first part of, I think it was December. I think it was towards the end of last year, and so we have to rethink all of our colors and everything with the data set. So we can't compare these colors to last year because it's a different data set, is what I'm trying to say. You have to keep that in mind when you're looking back, you know, from year to year. And that's why I'm tracking all of this and archiving, you know, whenever there's a new data set or whatever, I'm putting that on my website so that we can have a reference for everything. Basically documenting the end. Here we are at 500 HPA, and see the heavy, that's the highest readings right over the northern part. Also, it's coming down in these Mediterranean countries down to the Mediterranean Sea here, and swooping down in the Pacific and down along the west coast of the US here. So it's coming down pretty far. And on this eastern side, see, it's coming down to Japan, the Japan level there. Here's total column where all of the levels are added up throughout the anyway, it's a total reading through the whole atmosphere. And we see the highest is here in China. Here's a hot spot in eastern India, and then we've got a lot of reds. Next, I just want to go through the rest of these images that I downloaded from CAMS for today. This is sulfur dioxide today. Now, yesterday we saw a huge blast of new sulfur dioxide over Kamchatka, and it was from Shiveluch erupting. That's one of the volcanoes up there. Today we have the leftover from that. Also, we've got high reading here. This is the Philippines. I'm assuming that that's volcano related. And here it is at 500 HPA. Here's the leftover here over Kamchatka. And here, this is where it blasted up through the atmosphere. It's not very big, but it's definitely there in the Philippines. This is the ozone over the Antarctic. We can see the hole where it's coming all the way across from the western peninsula all the way across to the east. It's a little bit thicker on the southern end, but see, we've got breaks here coming up into the Atlantic, and also coming up, this is like the Indian Ocean side here. And see the aqua, so that's going down even thinner here. So this is, as the sun's going down, the ozone hole will be forming over the Antarctic. And here's the Arctic view of the ozone. Here's where it's thinnest over Russia, coming down. And we've got heaviest from China coming across across Alaska and Canada and so forth. Here's the global view. It's pretty disturbing. We've got aqua here. This is the Philippines. That's in the same area is where we saw the sulfur dioxide blast. And sulfur dioxide will eat away at the ozone layer, and also methane. So if you have high methane or super high sulfur dioxide, you're going to see thinnings or even holes open up in the ozone layer. So this is looking pretty bad. See, we've got the greens from the mid latitude south. That's below normal. That's all of those. Now let's go over Climate Reanalyzer next. This is 2-meter temperature anomaly for today. This is the air temperature. And the reds, we've got some reds, meaning warmer than normal, reds and browns. Here in northern Canada and Alaska, there was an earthquake up here in the Beaufort Sea today. We'll look at that as well. I think it was 4.4 right up here. I'll go ahead and show you that. Right here, just off the coast of Canada, 4.8. That came in at 1:54 this afternoon, Pacific time. So there's sea ice there. It's in the sunlight, but 4.8 right there. We're going to see more and more Arctic earthquakes as things keep heating up. And so we've got red over the North Pole, and then Greenland is in the brown and moving into the red. Russia has lower than normal. We can see it's even into the purple here along that Laptev coastline. Well, no, that's the Kara Sea coastline, northern Russia there. And see, we've got cold air on the west side of the U.S. and then warm air on the east side, and that sets up for the chaotic weather. Here's the Antarctic. Here, look on this western side. That's in the reddish brown zone. Worldwide, we're up 0.4 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1 C. The Arctic is up 0.6 C. And if it weren't so cold right here over Russia, that number would be a lot higher here in the Arctic. The Antarctic is 0.7 C lower than normal. Southern hemisphere is minus 0.1 C. The tropics are up 0.5 C. Here's precipitation and clouds for today. The green is rain, the blue is snow, and so we see this system coming up this North Atlantic, and see how far north the rain is coming, just parallel with Norway there. And we've got a huge storm coming across Missouri and these Midwest states, and coming across up to the east, and then another band just north of that that's got rain and snow and ice. Now this one in the southern part, more southern part, looks like it's mainly rain. Here's the global view, and see all this rain. At Australia, they've had a lot of flooding down there. Here is the jet non-stream. There's no stream about this. It's just broken and clumpy, and even this band that had been kind of solid going across northern Africa straight across, see, that's even breaking up. It broke last year in the summer, I think it was in the summertime, June or July, and it's just getting worse. Can't be fixed. We'll look at sea ice and snow cover in a minute. This is sea surface temperature anomaly as of yesterday. Here we've got browns in this in the Barents Sea, and in the North Atlantic. That's warmer than normal. And around Greenland. And then coming down off the coast of North America, see the whitish areas. That's up to 6C higher than normal. That's the top. I think they're going to have to expand this. It's probably higher than that. That goes all the way out. And the Gulf of Mexico's got brown, so that's heating up. Look here around Australia, all around Australia, it's heating up. And this is Tasmania, so this area all around Tasmania, see, that's moving into reds and browns. So that's this kind of happens every year. I've seen it, this Tasman Sea between Australia and New Zealand, where it's just been red before. So it's not as bad as I've seen it in the past, but it's still getting up there. These interior bodies of water we can see are heating up. The Caspian Sea, Black Sea, this is the Baltic Sea, the North Sea, Mediterranean Sea, you're getting some brown there. Worldwide, we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. The Northern Hemisphere is up 0.4 C. North Atlantic is up 0.5 C. North Pacific is up 0.3 C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.3 C. And the Equatorial Pacific is down 0.3 C. Now, we're ready to move on to our sea ice part of the show. We'll start with this slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer. I save all these images every day on sea ice and snow cover, and so that I can track it. So here we are today. Let's see what's happening here. Baffin Bay is about the same. Not much regrowth here around the southern tip of Greenland. In fact, I think it's retreating there. And see, it's still hanging on here by Canada. We've got a hole that's opening up again here between Svalbard and Franz Josef Land, and a little bit of regrowth here in the Barents Sea, and here in the Bering Sea. Now there's the Bering Sea over on the west where Alaska is, and the Bering Strait, and this is the Barents Sea that's in the north, that connects with the North Atlantic. Now we've had some retreat of ice here in the Bering Sea, and a little bit of more growth here in the Sea of O coast. So let's see how it's changed this week. Here we are last Sunday. Looks about the same, doesn't it? So I'll click through. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and here's today. So it's hard to tell much of a change. Once it starts really melting, we'll see dramatic change from day to day here once we get into full melt. Oh, that's all of those, sorry. Next, this is the latest data from National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is March the 4th data. They didn't put up yesterday's, I don't know why. This is what we've got. So this was Friday. This is sea ice concentration in the Arctic, and the more blue it is, the less concentrated or more thin the ice is, or maybe even open water between pieces of ice. And so we do have a hole up here in the North Baffin Bay. We'll zoom in next to Greenland, and you can see how this nearest strait is reflecting that it's got quite a bit of blue. There's a lot of open water there, which I'll show you. Now this golden or brownish line is the median, and let's see, we're under that median quite a bit. And here's where it's melting here by Svalbard, and here's in the Sea of O coast. See, that's lower, a lot lower than average or their median. And see here in the Bering Sea, see the brown there, we're definitely below that. This is sea ice extent for the Arctic. The blue line is this year. The dotted line is 2011, the spring of 2011, or starting January. They changed years on us here. We were tracking 2012 to 2013 over the winter, and then they changed the year February 1st, and it kind of threw me for a loop for a few days till I figured it out. But here's the blue line is this year. So we took a nosedive this week. Now remember, this is Friday's data, and so it went down and swooped below the 2011 line to 2012, and so this is winter of 2011 to starting in January 2012. That's what it is. So we're below the 2012 line here, but it looks like the line is just slightly curved up there on Friday. So it'll be interesting to see what else. See if we've peaked out. I think we peaked out already earlier this week. We'll see. Here's the Antarctic, and here, sea ice concentration. Now we're getting some regrowth here in the Weddell Sea, and see how much is still open here on this southern side as opposed to the median. And here's sea ice extent. We are way below. And see, the line is just slightly curving up now, just barely. Now this is last year, this greenish line, and see, it started refreezing early and really jumped up last year, but we're just barely starting on the refreeze now. So I guess it looks like we bottomed out. Not sure when, but they'll let us know. Here's the Navy sea ice model for the Arctic. This is sea ice thickness. Here's our color ledger on the right. It goes backwards in the rainbow from white, meaning 0, going up through purple. This dark purple to the dark blue is about 1 meter thick. The dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick. The bright aqua is about 2 to 2.5 meters thick. The green is about 3 meters thick. Yellow is just about 3.75 meters thick. The bright red is about 4.5 meters thick. And then the dark red is about 5 meters thick. So you can see that most of the Arctic is about 2 meters thick and lower, most of it. Our thickest ice is right here, just above Canada and Greenland. We'll zoom in here with the bright aqua. See, just right through here, and a little bit over here in the Beaufort Sea, and just dribs and drabs of, where it's thickening. But it's very sad. It's a sad situation to see this. Now, I've named these quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4 just for reference. Up here in the Sea of Okhotsk, here's the regrowth that we're seeing. And you can see here in the Bering Sea where it's really thinned out. There's a lot of holes there, a lot of open water there. Also here in the Bering Strait, see, we've got purple and light lavender coming in. This had been aqua all the way across, so that's melting already there. And here in the Chukchi Sea, see, that's dark aqua there. And then we've got like this demarcation line that runs from New Siberian Islands, kind of diagonal down towards Greenland, and that's like the cutoff point with some of the thicker ice, and then it's really thin on the other side of that line. It's really strange to see it like that. But here in quadrant 1, this is the Laptev Sea. This is Severnaya Zemlya. Here's Komsomolets, where we've been seeing the methane billowing up on CAMS. Now we saw the the ice pull away from the coastlines with the ice drift, but it's refreezing a little bit around these coastlines. Here's the North Pole. It's in dark aqua. Here's quadrant 2. It's really struggling with, it's mainly because of the Atlantic Ocean coming up. It's called Atlantification, and it's the whole ecosystem is shifting up here, and the water is warmer and it's more saline, and so harder to freeze, and also it doesn't, when it freezes, it doesn't get that thick, we can see, because this is at the end of the really freezing, you know, the growth season, and look how thin this is up here in the Kara Sea. And then here in quadrant 3 we've got Greenland, and we've got some green and yellow and red ice, so going up into the 4-meter, just a little sliver of the dark red up here on this around the coastline. Here's a hole here on this northeast corner, and then here in the nearest strait we can see the light lavender, meaning a lot of open water, and then it thickens up right at the bottleneck where it opens out into the Baffin Bay, and then see the white, there's a lot of open water there. And see, we've got aquas here on the west side of the Baffin Bay, also aquas down here in the Hudson Bay. We've got aquas in these tributaries now. And here's quadrant 4. And this is where the thickest sea ice is. You see the green, that's about 3 meters thick, yellow, and down to the dark red, just a line here along the Canada coastline. And we saw earlier this week that the ice pulled away from this Alaska and Canada coastline. The ice drift pulled it away, and now it's pushing it back towards the coast. And we've got mainly aqua, just different shades of aqua here in the Beaufort Sea. Here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to yesterday, so the data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast goes out a week from Saturday, so to next Saturday. So let's watch this. So not a lot of regrowth for this week, but mainly some thickening still going on here. Here, just above Canada and Greenland, and here in quadrant 1 too. So let's stop it. Uh-oh. I missed it. Here we are at the end of the model. So for next Saturday, this is what they're showing. Wow, look at how this Bering Sea is really breaking up. Look at all the white, meaning open water. So, and this Bering Strait, that's going to melt out fast. So just a little thickening happening up here. So let's go back. Here we are today. So let's see if we can see any changes. I'm clicking through. Not much change this week. It's just kind of holding as the sun is coming up. It's about the same. Here's the Beaufort Sea, sea ice thickness. Canada is here on the right. Here's where we saw that thickest ice. And just a little skim of the 5-meter ice right along the coastlines there. Right down here, you can see along the coastline where it's still open, where it had pulled away earlier this week. See? And here along Alaska. But it's being pushed back. Here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to today. Now, see, watch this. See, it pulls out and then it comes back down, settles back down. We're getting some greens, a little hint of green here in the Beaufort Sea. So that's thicker, like about 3 meters thick. Now we'll go to the Antarctic. Here we are today. Sea ice thickness. Now we're seeing a little bit of refreeze here in the Ross Sea, right next to the ice shelf, and this is kind of becoming more solid here on this west side. This is Pine Island Glacier and Thwaites Glacier. And then here in the Weddell Sea, now we saw it open up on this east side, and that's refreezing now. And just see the fringe coming back around the coastlines. See, it's just fringy ice gradually coming back out. Here's the 30-day animation. So the forecast goes out to next Saturday. Now we are seeing a regrowth up here in the Weddell Sea. See that? That's definitely regrowth there. And regrowth here on this west side. It's just kind of smushing down, looks like. And here in the Ross Sea, see it's coming back. Now we're seeing, that looks like melting here on this southern side, see? So, I don't know, some of it's still melting and other parts are refreezing. That's all of that. Now we'll move on to the satellite view, NASA World View. Here we are looking down at the Arctic. This black circle is where it's still dark. The North Pole is right there in the center. So we're just inside the 80-degree north latitude line in the sunlight. So I'm going to start with this sea ice concentration layer, and I'll turn on the blue marble layer, and we'll see what's happened this week. See, here's the hole opening up by Svalbard. And here's the hole up here by Greenland. And see all this melting here in the Bering Sea. So let's go back to last week. Last Sunday was February 27th. That was the show last week. So let's see the change. Now see, we had the hole opening up last week too. And see, it looks like it's closing up here as we're going through. There's the 28th. Here's the 1st, 2nd. Uh-oh. I'm refreshing. Let's see. No, that's just no data on that part. Here's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and today. So definitely opening up here by Svalbard, and a lot of melting here in the Bering Sea. Now I'll turn off the blue marble layer, and you see the white where you see white, that means it's concentrated and it's frozen. But where you see pink, that's where it's less concentrated, and so when we look at the ice, that corresponds to we'll see leads opening up, big cracks in the ice, or even open water with some of these areas. So I'm going to start, look, this is Greenland and Ellesmere Island. They're almost all in the light now. Right down here. This is the Nares Strait. And look at this. A lot of open water there. And here's ice here. But see, it's not frozen solid. There's a lot of open water. And then here's the bottleneck where it's coming out next to Greenland. And then here's the hole in the North Baffin Bay. See? And here along the Greenland coastline. And just little thin wispy ice here. And see, there's a lot of open water. So this didn't solidly freeze here in the Baffin Bay, it looks like. See, look how that'll melt fast. Now I wanted to show on nighttime view this is pretty good today as far as the view. So here's this Nearest Strait where you see it dark. That's open water. See, look at this, the pieces of ice. And then this is the Lincoln Sea here. You see, that's not good. Let me get my bearings. Yeah, that's right. See, that's not good. Here's Greenland. Here's the north coast of Greenland. And here's this eastern edge. But you can look at all this open water around the ice and see all these cracks. It's not solidly frozen like I was saying. See these leads opening up. This is Svalbard on the right. And this is Franz Josef Land. And see, right up by the coast, see it's open. And we've got ice just to the west. So that was the main thing I wanted to show you with the nighttime layer. Now, let's just look at the satellite image. Here we are. I think, going through these different layers really helps us understand the ice in from a lot of different viewpoints. So that's why I like to go through them. Here's this east side. Here's the ice. See? Here's Svalbard. See, it's all in the sunlight now. Franz Josef Land is coming into sunlight. Here's this eastern ice edge. See? Here's Novaya Zemlya, and here's this fringe of ice on the western side, and see, here's where it's trying to grow out, refreeze. Here's the northern end. That's what it looks like. Here's the Kara Sea and the Russia coastline. We've got a little bit of refreeze over here going on. That's the Kara Sea. And the Kara Sea goes all the way up to Severnaya Zemlya, and then on the other side of that is the Laptev Sea. Here, see, there's the ice. Got a lot of clouds up here. Here's the Laptev Sea. There's the ice. See, look at, I was shocked when I saw these cracks open. That's open water. huge, huge open. See? So that's melting, I think. And the sun just came up. It's not even full force yet. Look here. See here. There's a little ice shelf that goes around the coastline, and then this is where the sea ice comes up to it. Here's New Siberian Islands, and here's the East Siberian Sea. I can't really see much here. Wrangell Island. Here's the Bering Strait. Look at this. You can see open water. We're looking through a cloud, but there's a lot of open water here by the Alaska coast. And then here's Barrow. Here's the sea ice. See? See the lead opening up. See, it's totally opened up. There's open water there. See? It goes all the way across. That's a big one. So the earthquake happened right out here in the ocean. Right out here. Well, it was Canada, I guess further back, but it was definitely in the Beaufort Sea. We're looking through clouds here. Oh, look, this is a good view. Look at this on the 4th. So here is what the Beaufort Sea looks like. So these leads are going to break apart fast and melt fast. See this open water. See, that's open water. See where it's dark. Here's where it had pulled away along the coastline, and now it's being pushed back. Let's go back now. Here we are today. See? Definitely cracking. So, there's that. Now let's hop down to the Antarctic. Here we are today. Pretty cloudy in a lot of places. Going to start down here. This is the Ross Ice Shelf. This is the Ross Sea. And these little strings, can't really see them. Look at all those clouds all week. Anyway, that's where the ice is starting to refreeze. See, this is ice refreezing here. And come around on the west side. And here's Pine Island Glacier. See, all this area has been under clouds all week. Here's Thwaites Glacier. Yeah, here. I guess the best view might be around here on the second, where you can see how far up it's melted. Let's see. And then Thwaites Glacier. Now, it looks like we've got the refreeze going on with this tongue. Now this had broken off and was in the process of deteriorating. But it looks like that's refrozen. Hard to tell. That's what we've got there. Then up here, right, here's the Western Peninsula. This is the Larsen C ice shelf. This is the Larsen B. It's this area where we're seeing methane kind of coming up constantly on CAMS, and also up by the Larsen A, where that's already deteriorated. Now right here, underneath this cloud is the big iceberg we're following. This is A76 that broke off before their winter time last year. And here it is on the 4th. This is a good view. And it's got some momentum. It looks like it's moving out, and there's still ice up here. It's still got a ways to go through the ice. See, here's the iceberg, and it's still got a ways to go, but it's on the move. It started out down here where it broke off. So I don't know if it's going to get frozen in or not this year. Oops. So here it is. Here it is today under that cloud. And it looks like open water around it. That's A76. Then down here in the Weddell Sea, here's the ice shelf, and here's the sea ice. Here on the west side, this is where we have the thickest and most sea ice here in the Antarctic, and this whole Weddell Sea. But the thickest is right down through here. And then on this east side, remember, this had opened up. This is the Brunt ice shelf. But look at this. This is refreezing already. That's the refreeze there. And then coming on up, here's the north end. Here's the east side. This is the Amory ice shelf. Here we can see the ice. See the little fringe? That's ice regrowing. See all of that. Here's Amory ice shelf. Here's a cloud. Here's where it's melted in this inlet, see? Now remember, the sun is at an angle, so some of these may be shadows. Like here, that's a shadow on the rock. See the shadow? See the dark blue? Here's the ice flow. And then coming on around on this east side. See, here's some refreeze going on. See? And then down here is the Totten Glacier. I always look at this. See the tongue? More clouds. Can't see it. Here's the second. Oh, here's a good view from the first. See the crack all the way across, but here's ice refreezing. And then we've got clouds. Oops. Look at this. From the 5th, look at this area, to the 6th. That broke up. That's crazy. I don't know. See, here's some refreeze. See the ice? And that's it. We're back to where we started from. Now we'll go over some earthquakes. Look at this. 6.0 South Sandwich Islands. And here is this. I already showed you this one in the Beaufort Sea. So we saw a lot of cracks coming out across this area of the Beaufort Sea. Yeah, that'll crack the ice. Definitely. Get a few of those. $204 worldwide. Let's look at 7 days, all magnitudes. This last week, we've had 2,139 earthquakes. Look at this. Now here, this was kind of an unusual earthquake on the Kola Peninsula. This is Russia, Murmansk. This is, most of this is military. 4.4 at Kirovsk, Russia. Also, we had one up by the North Pole. Here, I'll show you. Here's Severnaya Zemlya, and then a little bit further up. And here, 4.2. And it was north of Severnaya Zemlya, 85 degrees north and 89 degrees east. So it was almost right at the North Pole. The North Pole is at 90 degrees. Had a lot of movement here in the Atlantic Ocean. See, and look at all along South America, Mexico, Central America. And let's see, Aleutian Islands 5.2 at Attu Station. And Tonga. Look at all of these in the South Pacific. And the Tonga region, 32 here. Look at this. Here's one near Adelaide, Australia, 3.8. Mount Barker. That was on the 5th yesterday at 12:50 in the afternoon. Australia. Now, one thing I've noticed is the geysers has been a lot more active, this geysers region. $392 here this week. They're small, but you know, small ones count. Here's the Juan de Fuca plate. We had some movement on that this week. Here's Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone. Now, we did have some extra activity here at Yellowstone. Yellowstone Lake, and just south of it, there were 45 total here. Let's see, what was the largest one? There's a 2.1 and 2.2, and that's it. And West Texas, 7 here this week. The largest was this 4.3. And look at these up here on the northeast. Here's a 2.4, Irving, Massachusetts. Look at this. Here's a 2.3 off the coast of Beals, Maine. 1.8, Mapleton, Maine. 1.9, Miramichi, Canada. And so on. We had Southern California was very active this week. $281 down here. Here's Searles Valley. That's still going. Here's by Tonopah. That's still going. Anyway, the usual spots. So that's my report for tonight. And seeing as we're talking about near-term human extinction. And end times, I like to bring things back to a biblical perspective, a spiritual perspective, because we need to get prepared to leave the planet, and we need to prepare spiritually. I mean, you can prep physically, prep for food, water, all that stuff, to try and survive as long as you can. I think that's just kind of innate in most of us, but to let go and to know that the end is coming, and you don't know exactly when. It's going to be different for everybody, but are you ready? Are you really ready for that? So, I mean, I recommend everyone get right with God and Jesus. And if they haven't given their life to Jesus Christ, they do so. That's what I recommend while you still have a chance. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past. And moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts, even one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all one breath, so that a man hath no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity. All go unto one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Ecclesiastes chapter 3. So we're seeing the closing out of a lot of things, eras and times here, and this is God's timing. It's all in God's hands, and the more we can let go and realize that He's in charge, He's in control, and say, Lord, let your will be done in my life and on the planet, the easier it is to be ready to leave the planet even. So I hope everyone is safe and has a good week, and Lord willing, I'll see you next week. So I'm praying for you, and I love you all. Until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.